Today on Brilliance Business TV, we have special guests Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, talk show hosts of If These Wars Could Talk. Wendy is an actress, comedian, and an on-camera host and model. Tym is a singer, actor, songwriter, and host. Stay tuned. Welcome to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. I am your host, Mark Stephen Pooler. We have two wonderful guests today, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss, talk show hosts of If These Wars Could Talk. I was a guest recently and it's such a fun show. Before I bring them into the broadcast, I just want to make an official shout out to our show sponsors, Craig Shelley, Beverly Hills, luxury watches and fine jewelry at craigshelley.com. We are streaming live on MSP We're also on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and we're also on the E360 TV network under Fresh Takes, going out to Apple TV, Fire TV, Android TV, Roku, and many, many more. So let's bring in our incredible guests, Wendy Stuart and Tym Moss. Welcome both. I'm so excited for a conversation with you both. How are you both?
I'm feeling great. By the way, I love your opening music. I was dancing.
Yeah. A lot of guests dance to my theme tune.
Thank you, Mark Stephen Pooler. It's so good to see you again. This is wonderful. Thank you for having us on. I'm doing great.
Excellent. So you both wear many hats. So let's start with you, Wendy. Tell our audience a little bit about yourself, what you do and what you're working on.
So I do wear many hats. As you said in my wonderful intro, thank you. I am an actress. I'm a model. I'm also a documentary filmmaker. I make films about people in parts of the world to raise awareness. If you're not familiar with the suffering people go through, I want to, as an advocate and an activist, let people know what is going on in places like Africa, what's happening to the tribal people, what's happening to the rhino, the gorillas, the chimpanzees. I believe that through film, right, it's a great global connector. I also do hosting and my shows, If These Walls Could Talk, I co-host with Tym Moss. We love, like you do, Mark, we love having our guests on. We love how incredible that we can be all over the world right now and be right here meeting each other. I do my modeling jobs. I work with major designers to make their clothing fit regular people. Yay, regular people. Not everybody is a size 0 in the world, or whatever you would call it in the UK. Maybe it's a 2. And then, it's been great getting out there and auditioning again, because all that stopped during the pandemic. I would like to have more live auditions instead of, being here on Zoom in the corner of my couch where I am right now.
You are doing great things in this world, Wendy, and it's coming from a place of educating people to make the world a better place. Tym, tell us a little bit about what you're working on, what you do, and a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you. My name is Tym Moss, TYM MOSS. I have a motorcycle or something going by the window. Welcome to New York City living. I'm a singer. I'm an actor. I do television, film, theater. I am actually a legitimate movie star. Yay! I star in a movie called Junk, which we're very proud of. I'm also an LGBT activist, cabaret performer. I love to entertain, and I'm a host, like Wendy said, on a couple of shows online. So
I can imagine you doing cabaret, actually, Tym.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit, Tym, about your movie Junk. What's it about?
Oh, goodness. Junk is a full-length motion picture. It is LGBT. It's a musical. And there are only 2 people in the cast, just me and my co-star, Robbie Wayne. And it's about an older gay man and a younger gay man that go in to clean out the house of a recently deceased man. And they piece his life together based on his possessions. And they also find out a lot about themselves and the intergenerational gap. And of course, we always have to stop with the moving and break into song and sing about it every now and then. It's a gay musical.
Tym, where can I see this? Where can I get a copy? It sounds amazing. And it's also addressing really common issues within the gay community, because there are age gaps a lot of times in gay relationships and things. So I really want to see this movie. It sounds really great.
Well, just a couple of the intergenerational gaps is the younger one is constantly on his phone on Grindr and looking for his trick that night, which my character, being an elder in the LGBT community, was constantly saying, back in my day, we never had this. You have that because of everything we went through, so that you can have life much easier. And you can also be out, which we were not allowed to be back in the day. And
Yes.
another thing we touch on, just to give an example, are tattoos. One thing my character brings up, because back when I was a child, if a man had a tattoo on his arm, he was a rebel. He was outside the law. Don't mess with that guy. And now a tattoo has become a sign of conformity. Like, if you don't have a tattoo, then you don't fit in. You've got to have a tattoo. How a symbol has changed over time. So,
And where can we get hold of it?
Well, Junk right now, we were out on the film festival circuit, and then the pandemic hit. So we had to pull everything. And we're going to be putting it back out there. And hopefully soon we will have it available for the public to view. But I will keep you in mind. I will let you know when we have that.
Send it me immediately. I really want to see that. I want to see you in your form. And also, I prefer the word mature to elderly.
There we go. Yes.
Wendy, I know how passionate you are about the Explorers Club. Tell us a little bit about that, what's involved, your work in that.
So the Explorers Club, there's 3,400 around members in the world. And it is an incredible club where the members push the boundaries of land, sea, air, and space. Right now, there are private expeditions that have gone out to space that are privately funded. That's the level of person that we're dealing with. Jeff Bezos is, of course, a member, but we have other people that are going. This just blows my mind. I'll be at a lecture there, and I meet other people that are explorers like myself. I'm a filmmaker, and I feel like I'm such small potatoes, Mark, compared to these people. I'll be talking to a woman, and I'm like, well, what do you do? Oh, I'm an astronaut. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yes.
How can I even talk about modeling and acting or filmmaking with, somebody that's been in space, right? But what I love about the Explorers Club is pre-pandemic, we had lectures there every week with people from all over the world that would come and talk about things that they were doing really to make a difference in the world. You're talking about filmmakers, scientists, biologists, conservationists, experts in climate change. So I had all this information in my head pre-pandemic. And this is what's so scary. Back in January of 2020, there were people at the club. I was presenting one of my films one night and talking about gorilla and chimpanzee rescue in Cameroon. And a bunch of my friends weren't coming. I'm like, why aren't you coming? They're like, well, we don't feel comfortable. I'm like, why not? They said, well, this pandemic is, and they started to give me all of these reasons. You know, I'm like a normal, regular person. I didn't have all this scientific data. But now, knowing what I know, they knew things ahead of time. I thought they were being nervous Nellies. And, you know, why did we not in the world tell people this back in January? It's crazy. So yes, the Explorers Club I'm passionate about. We are opening up again. And if you come to New York, I'm one of the people, I'm a docent, and I give tours there of the club, and I can give you the history of the club. I just love it.
I'm still hoping to get to the USA. My plans was September, but I did the sensible thing and I postponed all my plans in LA, New York, Miami until February, March, hoping that we're in a better place so I can come there with peace of mind. But you talked a little bit about the space side of things there, Wendy. There's been a lot in media. Recently, Richard Branson flew a rocket up to space with passengers on. Was it Jeff Bezos recently on the news where they've actually put people that are not astronauts? Did you see that one?
Yeah. Not only saw it, I met them. I was at the club. So we just reopened. I was at the club a couple of weeks ago, and somebody came in with Mark Bezos, Jeff's brother, and they had a coin. And I'm like, what is this coin? They said, touch it, Wendy. It's been to space. So that may be the closest I ever get to space. Maybe that's okay. But yeah, how totally cool. Mark Bezos had just been there. There are, to your point, Mark, they're privately funding these trips to space, and they're happening a lot. I mean, I don't know, will we ever be able to go? Like, can I use my frequent flyer miles to go to space? I don't know.
I think it's becoming more of an opportunity in the near future, Wendy. Not that I would want to. I don't know whether I would be a bit scared, to be honest with you, but I think it's important we do explore space because there's so much out there that we don't know about, and it's such a miracle that we're on a big piece of rock floating round in this big amount of vacuum of space. So I think it's really, really exciting times, and I think it's important. And Elon Musk's doing a lot of it as well, isn't he? To do with space.
And I just wanted to say that you know, of course, right now it's a very expensive, but that's the way the system always runs. Like when airplane travel first started, you have to be rich to fly on a plane. You know, it cost a lot, and not everybody could go. And then it became more and more common and more and more common. And now everybody just goes and gets on a plane. That's no big deal. It's the same thing. The more it happens, the more reasonable the price becomes. And as soon as I can afford it, I'm there. I can't wait to go.
Tim and I will be buying coach tickets.
Right.
We'll be having our little Happy Meal. Tim, it'll be floating in the space because of the gravity.
I will wait until a few rockets have been up first so that I know it's safe. So, Tim, you did touch on it a little bit earlier, but I know how much you love it. So let's talk about your cabaret show.
Oh, yes, thank you. My cabaret, I have a cabaret show called TYM MOSS, Alive, fun, fabulous, flamboyant. And I basically walk the audience through my life so far, or the first half of my life, which was very tumultuous. And I tell the story through song. We take familiar songs and kind of give them a new meaning. Like most people have no idea that I had suffered from a 20-year drug and alcohol addiction that by all accounts should have killed me. And I tell that story in the cabaret, and most people who know me have no idea about this. And so that's why it's very shocking. It got critical acclaim because of it. And basically, like, there's a song that Duffy wrote called Mercy, which is, "'Cause I'm begging you for mercy, why won't you release me?" It's a real fast, upbeat song. We took that and we slowed it down into a dark blues version, and I'm singing it to the cocaine. I'm saying, "Why won't you release me? Please let me go." And that's what I mean. We take familiar songs and reinterpret them to tell my story, and it's been very successful.
I love that. I'm an ex-drug addict, as you know. I collapsed and died from drug use, and I was heavily bullied, what we're going to talk about later. So it's really important what you're doing, Tym, sharing your message and your story, because that can help so many people. Is it a real humour show, or are there dark points, and is there emotion where the energy is a little bit lower in the show?
Oh, there's emotion. Whenever I do the
emotion, you laugh, but you cry, and then you laugh, and then you cry again. Honest to God, I left Tym's show so, like, my guts had been pulled out. The honesty in it, the reality of it, the level of emotion. And it's very hard for me to even describe it, Tym. I can only tell you, Mark, I won't be happy till this show has a Broadway run and everyone can buy tickets for it. I'm not saying it because it's Tym. I'm saying it because it's a story that not only needs to be told, at the end of the day, it's such a damn inspiration. Everything this guy has done.
I love that. And I obviously share my message on stages as well. And I know in the beginning, when you are sharing the good, the bad, and the ugly of your life, and there's emotion, sometimes your emotions can come up a little bit. Absolutely. How do you deal with that? And is that something you have experienced
during the performance, you mean, of the show?
Yes, when you're performing it and sharing that message and the dark points and the emotions there, it's so easy for it all to come up, isn't it?
Yes. I still, when I do that show, I'm usually in tears at least 2 or 3 times. Because it takes me back to the darkest moments of my life, but I do it safely now. The first time I did that show, I was petrified because I didn't know if I could do it. But I can allow those emotions to come up, but I can't release them completely. Otherwise, I would just be a crying ball of molecules laying on the stage, you know. And but I have trained myself to be able to allow those emotions to come up and sit with it for a minute with the audience and move on and continue with the story. But the arc of the show, it goes along. It's very fun and very fun and very fun and up and happy, and then it starts to go down. And then it's like, and the audience is, I mean, sometimes the audience will gasp at some of the things I'm saying. They'll be like, they had no idea. And then I take them down even further. I take them down until I was face to face with death. And then I bring them back up. You know, I made a turn. I got back on track. I sought the help I needed, which is a very important point, is if you need help, reach out and get that help, because I was so far gone. There was no way I could find my way back. No way. I needed people to help guide me. But interestingly enough, because I had lost all my memories. I had been so far gone. And one of the first memories to return was this beautiful memory that was reminded me, I'm a singer. I'm an actor. I'm an entertainer. I had forgotten for 20 years who I was. And I grabbed a hold of that memory, and that, along with the guidance of these other people, helped lead me out, help me to find my way back. And it's such a great way to educate people and help them through difficult times, challenges, and everyone's life can be a roller coaster at times. Absolutely. So it's important we all share our stories in hopes that it could just help even one person, Tym.
Wendy, I know how passionate you are about all of your shows. So firstly, could you share a little bit about the show I have been on, If These Walls Could Talk? And then I want you to talk a little bit about Triversity Talk, which is more LGBTQ plus based. And I know you have other shows as well. Tell us all about that.
So it's funny because we're talking here about people that inspire other people, both you, Mark, and you, Tim, because of what you went through. Your stories are poignant, and your stories can turn other people's lives not only around, you can save people's lives. That's where I come from as a human being. I want to tell your stories. So If These Walls Could Talk, Tim and I, we have on major celebrities, cabaret artists, writers you may have never heard of, okay? And the whole gamut. But what do they all have in common? Every human being has a story. Yes. And if I bring a well-known musician on, like Scott Page from Pink Floyd, I love that he's Scott Page from Pink Floyd. But you know what? I want to know what he went through, because you know what, the world is not this Kardashian stuff that is fed to all of us. I find it so destructive. Or the world of Instagram, which is filtered and everybody's beautiful. It is not like that. We are all going through whatever we go through, but guess what, every day is different from the next. What did you do to become this great success? What was your rock bottom? And my favorite moments on Triversity Talk, which is my LGBTQ show, is I love to talk to people. Coming out, right, as we all know, is one of the hardest things for many people. But what I've learned, I have people on there now where it wasn't hard. These are things that run the gamut, and right, Tim, you know, in our day, coming out. And yet now, you know, I have people on that are like, I came out. So what is this word coming out? What are these letters, LGBTQ plus? Are they bringing us together or keeping us apart? My shows are meant to really question all of these things. They are not exploitive, but they're meant to tell truth, honesty, and my guests, because if they're not authentic when they arrive there, they may have an agenda, but by the time we're done talking, they're like, oh my God, was such an incredible experience. They may discover something about themselves on the show, and that may be the thing that they end up talking about. I love that. That is the moment of truth.
Wendy, I would love to come on that show and share with your audience all around LGBTQ plus as well. So that will be something we can do together as well. Guys, I have really enjoyed part one of Brilliance Business TV. Stay where you are. We're just going to a commercial break. Thank you, everyone, for watching part one of Brilliance Business TV. We're here with Wendy Stuart and TYM MOSS, the incredible guests, where we have been sharing all about what they're up to in show business. We've talked about Cabaret. There's so many more topics that we're going to discuss. We've talked about space, and we have talked about their incredible show, If These Walls Could Talk. Stay tuned for part two. Welcome back to Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. We're having a conversation today with the incredible Wendy Stuart and TYM MOSS. I am a big fan of everything entertainment, celebrity, all that world, film, music. Tell us a little bit of gossip, Wendy. What is going on in the entertainment world? The good, the bad, the ugly. Tell us all a few home truths.
Okay, entertainment gossip. Let me think about entertainment. I really have to think about that one, Mark, because I don't get into like the gossip with people. I'll do that in my real life. I'm the worst person in the world with that. I'll dish about anybody, but I feel there's a responsibility what we put out there with material. And you know what? You've got your gossip shows, right? You've got your TMZ, you've got your Entertainment Tonight, and all of that. I am trying to position myself out there. And with Tim, we have a unique product. That's what I feel. If these walls could talk,
Yes.
yeah, it draws you in because that's a little dishy. Oh, wow, what do the walls say? But it's really about bringing a guest on and sharing just their incredible stories. Like we were saying earlier, we went to the 35th anniversary of Pangea, which is an amazing venue, restaurant, cabaret. But the thing about Pangea, 35 years, they've had Debbie Harry there, so many of the major people. You want to bring those people on and not only find out what they're up to, but share, what were their early days like knocking around New York. Both Tim and you, Mark, you've got your stories. My God, the two of you inspire me because you're still here. I often want to say to my guests, how did you do it? How are you still here? So I guess maybe that's a little gossipy, but again, it's more, I want to get that information out there. How did you survive? How did you survive?
And that's a great question. We'll keep that for another show, but it does take a lot of inner work, admitting you have a problem and really taking it day by day, step by step, and really just never suffering alone as well. It's important to reach out to your friends, family, mentor, teacher, someone that you trust. You should never have to suffer alone. So there's a few pointers there for you. That brings me nicely into my next question, and this is to the both of you. We're all advocates of LGBTQ plus. And at times, it seems the letters, more and more of them are being added, and you can easily offend people as well by not using the right pronouns. I have done it accidentally, and I am a big advocate of LGBTQ. What are your opinions? Do you feel it's bringing us closer together or pulling us apart?
Well, helping to run an LGBTQ plus in Milford, Pennsylvania, which services New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania. It's called Triversity. We've been around now 10 years, or maybe it's 11. 10 years ago, I would have given you a different answer than I'm giving you now. I feel like this next generation, and Tim, I'm sure will pick up on this. Tim always talks about laying the groundwork, right? We all laid the groundwork. The result for laying the groundwork is we now have kids that are coming up that, they don't want to be pigeonholed into letters. They want to identify as gender fluid, right? And whoever you talk to, you'll get a lot of different definitions as to what that means. So on that level, I think having it may be a little old school to have LGBTQ plus, because maybe people are not identifying with those letters in the younger generation. However, the other side of the coin, I'm devil's advocate here. A lot of the people I know really do need to have those letters. They fought for them, right? They fought for T. I had a trans advocate on who said, why is it LGBTQ? It should start with the T. Why isn't it TLGB? And she actually said to me, why don't you show me how much you support me by putting a T in front of your organization instead of an LGB, TQ. So that's where we're at. I know I'm probably giving you a very middle of the line, sitting on the fence response, but that's where it's at right now. And I'm questioning this all the time. Is it bringing us together, pulling us apart? I think time will tell as we move into the future.
And I think if we all respect each other, it doesn't matter one way or the other. And I feel as long as we give love and we respect how other people want to be respected, then the world is a better place. What are your opinions on that, Tim?
Well, I have seen the LGBT community evolve over time from nothing. And when I first came out or first was discovering my sexuality, our community was completely hidden from sight. You had to the secrets, and you had to kind of find whispers and try to figure out, okay, well, there's a gay club. Where is that? And go, and it was hidden and usually downtown by the adult bookstore. So that was the identity we had, was that we were filthy, we were dirty, we had to be secret and pushed to the side. But the thing that I loved about it was we were all one. We were all unified. You had lesbians in the club, you had trans in the club, but we didn't even have a name for trans at that time. Men who would dress up as women, and they would a lot of times get up on stage and put on a show. And then you had the gay men, and you had, then everybody as the community started emerging publicly and then growing and more people joined, they'd be, oh, well, I seek like. And, oh, well, I want to be, I'm a lesbian, I want to be with a lesbian. So that's an L. And then the gay over here. Well, then the gays were like, oh, well, I'm a twink. I'm skinny, so call me twinks. And all the twinks over here and all the bears over here. And then within the bears, you had the polar bears, and then you had the muscle bears, and you had the this and that. Everybody just keeps breaking off into these little branches of this tree, forgetting that we're all rooted in the same place.
Yes.
And I get very frustrated with that, where this group doesn't talk to that group, and this one doesn't like that one, and this one, it's like, no, we're all family. We're all brothers and sisters here, and not one is more important than the other. We're all equally as important, and we should love and embrace and enjoy and unify together.
Wise words. And I, like you, I do remember when it was more hidden, more of a secret. I came out at the age of 15. I was still at school, and that was quite a hard thing to do. And I had to be very brave as well, because I was already getting bullied, and obviously the bullying got worse, but I had the strength to still come out. So I do think we have made a lot of progress. I'm 40 now, and in those 25 years, there's been a lot of progress, and it's definitely a more open world. And I'm not saying it is easy to come out for anyone, but I do think a lot of progress has been made. We also talked about the word queer before we came live. Now, I was bullied heavily, and queer was one of the words I was called a lot, and I know that's the same for you, Tim. Who knows what is the word queer? What does it mean?
Well, in a way, just like I was saying with the tattoos, in one generation it meant one thing, now it means something else. Queer used to be derogatory, terrible word, the worst thing that you could be called back in the day. And now the community is trying to embrace that to make it a more acceptable and a more pleasant word, which I'm getting there. All of these things psychologically and emotionally take me time to work my way into. I try to evolve with the times and with the community and all of that. But some of the things like the pronouns, like that, is extremely important to the younger generation.
Yes.
To me, you can call me anything, I'll answer. I don't care. But
yes.
But so many of them are, oh my God, you got my pronoun wrong.
Yes.
Like, if that's the worst thing that's going to happen to you in this life experience, you're doing pretty good.
Hit on a couple of things here. Queer, for both of you, when I was growing up, it was always used towards a male that was effeminate or gay or whatever. What's interesting now is a lot of my younger female friends, Brooklyn, women identify as queer. So we have now expanded, not only is it a positive definition, we've expanded as to who is calling themselves queer. That's number one. Number two, I'm so glad you all brought up the pronouns. So often on my show, Triversity Talk, we always put our pronouns up. And every now and then, like the rest of you, it's like, okay, so this person wants to be called they. They is, I'm not putting they down, but my God, guys, I have a terrible time with they. I can't look at it like a singular human being.
It's hard to say that, isn't it? When you're talking about a person and you have to try and say they, it's quite difficult.
Right. Like they, if I were talking about, to me, if I'm talking about the two of you, Mark and Tim, they are great guys.
Right.
But if it's a singular person, and if they look female, I have a really hard time calling them they. If they were male to female transition, and then I got to remember they. I have come up with a word that nobody is using. Use. I'll tell you.
Use.
I grew up in an Italian neighborhood, and that's what the mothers are. Used kids coming in. Use. I think it's a brilliant. Why are we not incorporating this? It applies to male, female. It's just wonderful, because otherwise, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
Yes. It can sometimes be a slip of the tongue. I have done it accidentally, and it's easily to offend people. So as long as we're coming from a great place and we're not doing something to hurt someone's feelings and deliberately, at the same time, people need to be able to respect that slip of the tongues do happen, and as long as it's coming from a good place, that should be absolutely fine without having to be a problem. So I think we've discussed a great topic there, and I definitely think, Wendy, you've just added another branch to what Tim is talking about with Hughes.
I like that. Can I just add one thing that is totally off subject? Those Craig Shelley watches are absolutely gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
They were the commercial. Those were beautiful.
Tim, I agree. I was drooling.
Right.
I was sitting here with my costume jewelry on. I'm like, I want to watch the gorgeous.
I'm brand ambassador for them, and also they are the sponsors of my show. So I have a $15,000 Craig Shelley watch. It's got a diamond on every hand of the watch, rose gold. It's a really special $15,000 watch, and I've only ever worn it on photo shoots at the moment. But I thought, you know what, I'm going to start wearing it, because it's no good being stuck in a drawer just for special occasions. So I'm going to start wearing it. I would like to talk a little bit before the show ends today. Bullying. We're all passionate about it. I've been bullied. I know, Tim, you've been bullied. You're a big advocate of it, Wendy. And it's not always in schools. I have even, when I was employed, working in the workplace, I've had bosses who are on a power trip who've bullied. Then you get people in groups in workplace gossiping about each other, bullying each other. Tell me a little bit about your thoughts on bullying, Wendy.
I believe we can reduce the amount. We'll never get rid of it totally, because there's always someone that's got to prove they're the man or they're the woman and they have the power, right? But I believe through empathy, teaching empathy and teaching kindness. And we're talking now when kids are very young. You know, there's a lot of very aware parents nowadays in the time we're living in that are, I know those parents trying to raise their children that way. I raised my daughter that way. If a kid was getting a timeout, my daughter was the one that would sit with the kid on the bench. And the teacher said, why did she do that? Well, because we talk about people's feelings
Yes.
matter. And it's got to be something, I believe, that is taught in the home from day one.
Right. Yeah.
Wise words. And you, Tim?
Well, I also feel that the kids a lot of times are acting out. They're reacting from how they're treated at home.
Hurt people, hurt people.
Exactly. And that's where I try to come from with understanding. But I do think that society overall has squashed it a lot, that it's not as acceptable as it once was. And I do think there has been a lot of progress, but like Wendy says, it'll never be eradicated completely. But again, if we can just shift it to where we understand the bully a little bit more, I think that will help to soften things a little bit better.
I agree. I think you do have to sometimes sympathize with a bully, especially when they're younger, because you do find they have their own issues going on as well. They may be being bullied themselves. Hurt people definitely hurt people. But I do think we've made a lot of progress. Go ahead, Tim.
I was just going to say, but with that being said, to like the little bully, you know, I'm sorry that you're going through this and all of that, but sit down and shut up.
I love that.
I do believe that the schools in our curriculums, and again, I don't know what it's like in the UK. I know here, and especially New York City, they do spend time dealing with this. However, and I'm just going to get a little political here. You can go to other parts of the country that have absolutely thrived in our former administration, and the amount of bullying that had gone on really went through the roof. And I am actually seeing it in my weekend place in Pennsylvania with the mask mandate that was recently put through. Not only are the anti-maskers out in front of the school with picket signs, they don't want their kids to have to wear masks. They don't believe in masks. They have picked on children. This is true. This just happened a week ago. Children going into school with their masks on. How awful is that? So, you know, we really need to pay attention as to what's going on in our worlds right now.
Great words, Wendy. And I would say here in the UK, it's not as acceptable to have bullies in school as when I was at school. When I was at school, there was a lot of bullying, but I still think there's more to be done. So there is still work to be done there. If you're at home and you are going through any kind of bullying, any kind of addiction, or you're struggling with your sexuality, just remember, never suffer alone. Don't suffer in silence. Reach out to a friend, a mentor, a teacher, someone that you trust, a family member, and share with them what you are going through. You should never, never suffer alone. Wendy, Tim, I have thoroughly enjoyed having a conversation with you today. Everyone watching, please go and check out Wendy Stuart TV on YouTube. You will find If These Walls Could talk show. You may even find the talk show, my show, where they interviewed me, and Tim is the host. And check out Triversity Talk, all about LGBTQ plus topics. And also follow Wendy at Instagram. She's the last model standing. That's at She's the Last Model Standing. Also, you can connect with TYM MOSS. This one's really easy, guys. Is on all social media at TYM MOSS. That's at TYM MOSS. TYM MOSS on all social media. Wendy, Tim, we have come to the end of the show. Thank you so much for being my guest today. I've really enjoyed having a conversation with you both.
Thank you so much. I have loved this. I loved every second. Thank you very much, Mark. You are incredible.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You are incredible. wonderful. And I did love that the tables were turned today.
Yeah.
You were interviewing us instead of us interviewing you. I loved interviewing you. I like that. I like that exchange. I like those conversations. Thank you.
We'll do more together. We're all on the same page, holding the same flags, on the same mission. We'll do a lot more together. Thank you once more for being my guest today. Thank you everyone for watching Brilliance Business TV, conversations with leading experts in business. Bye for now.